Hi, folks. We're Revolting News. I'm Tuli Kupferberg. That's Thelma Blitz behind the camera. And we need another show, right? So I'm going to read from a book of poetry that I published with Sylvia Top. She designed the book in 1959, and the poems were written in 1946, from about 1946 to 1959. That's how many, 46, and this is 1906. That's 40 or 50 years ago. 50, no, 40. I'm 22 now, no, 82 now. You figure it out. So this was part of Pup Press that I founded, Poets Union Press, Pope Press. The book costs 50 cents, and if you save it for 100 years, you'll be a rich man or woman. And we were affiliated with Burt Press. This is the logo of Burt Press. Can you focus in on it? Now this is not an obscenity. What this is someone coming into the world, shaking hands with the obstetrician. And this is a breech, not a breech presentation, but the infant's hand is showing through the vagina, and in order to determine what position the rest of the body is, the obstetrician was advised to try to shake its hand with his right hand, and if he can do that, it's the infant's left hand. Get it? So the next time you're in a situation like that, remember that. And it was published at Aesthetic Press on St. Mark's Place at the sign of the blue and gray scooter. Now, at first the problem came up of which poems to include, but I'm rather lazy, so I'm going to just read it from cover to cover. Not, and I'll comment on some things I wouldn't put in again, of course. It's something I changed my mind about. You know, things happen. And so I'm sure we can't finish the whole book now, so maybe this will be an infinite series of poetry, I hope. Don't be excited by don't be upset by the term poetry. Poetry is just excited prose, and prose is bad poetry. So the poem is called Snow Job. You all know what that means. It means a kind of con job, but it's meant ironically. Everything in here is the truth. There's no lies here that I know of. And we'll start with a 4-liner and an 8-liner. Paris I have never seen, person I have never been, or been to rhyme with it. Paris I have never seen, person I have never been, stars I meet in old museums, lover that I bathe in dreams. Oh, Eden's pigs, oh, figgy scheme, oh, dirty world, oh, naked dream. I did get to see Paris, but did I get to see the real Paris? Some of these poems have disappeared, disappeared in Anvil, Birth, Carolina Quarterly, Contact in Toronto, El Excelsior, Mexico City, Jewish Frontier, Midstream, New York Herald Tribune, Village Voice, and Eugene. It says I copyrighted them, but I don't believe in copyright anymore. As a matter of fact, when Peter Kropotkin, the famous anarchist theoretician and all-around nice guy, put out a book of he was a geographer too, on the geography of Siberia. Someone said to him, "You didn't copyright this," and he said, "Yes, I didn't copyright it because I'm using the materials of 100 other geographers." So that's how I feel about copyright. All right, so this is Song of the Yeshiva Bucha. He carries a stone in his heart, and on his back the blossoming Gemara. It's commentary in the Talmud. Love of love I know, but love I know not. Who has lit the candles in the old Beis Medrash? That's house of study in a small synagogue. Don't they know that darkness lights the inner soul? Blow out the candle and look through spring's window above the stars, above the stars. The inner light of God turns the longing sky. Love of love he knows, and now he seeks the shadow love. The shadow love. Two lights, the great one, he, made to rule the world's delight. The greater one to rule by day, the lesser one to love by night. But when night comes and clouds the heart, aloneness breeds and broods the dark. And when man stumbles on himself, blessed, blessed be the spark. Wisdom of wisdom I have, but wisdom I have not. Ever in eternal wisdom have our fathers said who saw, do not leave the fortress of the Torah, do not leave the garden of the law. Pain of pain I have, and pain I have. It is the garden of the Torah, here the burning flowers grow, and who leaves to fetch them water, softly turneth into snow. It is the garden of the Torah, locked by a golden side. No one can go in or out, except through the silver sky. Love of love I have, and love. Okay, the second is also a kind of Jewish poem. This is from a longer piece called Havdalah, which means the separation between the Sabbath and the rest of the week. When the Sabbath comes to an end, there's a portion called Havdalah, separation. Cut and run, love and stay till you are asked to leave. Grieve not the living that in the cool grass lie, that on the freezed ground spy the waves of autumn rolling, rolling from the west. Mourn rather the hot, the recent, the down there dead, cast to show, that's hell, and fixed in nothingness forever. Oh, deadened amber, clear and clutching, for the screaming fly. Solomon said that many years ago, when those words were still, oh, pure and passing fragile, like the timelessness evoked by clustered and by branched snow. Oh, soughing menorahs of silence, crystal and burning. Oh, all our orange Hanukkahs, seen for a moment when the eye is shocked to dreams, from streets plunged in blue, lifted to low buildings in great Russian squares, expansive and contained, that the moon and the snow cover with their silver. And black are the stones, oh black beneath the iron, and sharp as the wind, sharp within its circuit, and clear as the night, clear in its longing, and piercing are the stars high in their overwhelming sky. Undoing consonant, the outer stable dark, the splendid turning inner light. It is the last century's wind. It is the stars of our grandfathers. It is the light of the previous world. It is the longing of children and of all the good. All the good. All the good. Gone before and gone, oh gone and gone away. Oh, gone away forever. That was for why. The next is called Red Hook, you know, the neighborhood in Brooklyn. This red goes back through all those serious years, towards a summering time, the shimmering leaves, soft, gentler then, and oh how green through springdom's fluttering hoops, the cycles turned and girls and boys would ride to Coney by the wide, wavering sea. The sand was white and high, the sails of surging ships dizzied the blue original sky, and they had brought, say, electric silks of China, oh those majestic ships, oh red and drunk Porto wines, and stunned the sun-shot mirrors of France, reflected such ideas whose subtly wrought machines too soon would turn that street into an iron dream, lithe trees to stone, Gowanus to a stupid stream. Well, that was Gowanus when I grew up. It stunk and it was full of industrial debris like oils and paint and turpentine and God knows what. Now there's a revival in Gowanus, so the fish are actually coming back there. And people too, so, you know, things change. Here's a kind of political poem. Moses barely saw the land. Lenin's bridge collapsed in sand. Jesus left but such a tiny band to carry out his dream work, love. Today, the land a bare and bloody tomb. But Lenin has a big and mighty tomb. They recently enlarged the Pope's small dining room. More orders from above. But yet, hear the corn grow from that land, the sounds of freedom from Saigon unto which waters ran. And soft, or maybe that's pronounced Vitvatasarand, and soft as in blue moonlight flies the dove, I think I hear my lover calling, softly calling, love. Well, a little comment, I don't know how much freedom there is in Saigon, and in Witwatersrand in South Africa, they have a huge AIDS problem. So, for a 50-year-old poem, I guess it's okay. How much time do we have?
13 minutes.
We have 13 minutes. All right, you let me know at the 5-minute mark. I think I'll take a drink of the chlorinated water. You know, New York water is chlorinated, and Some people are against it. If you let it stay, stand for a while, the chlorine goes out. Because this was, the chlorination is probably 100 years old, and it was a time when there were few infectious diseases like typhoid maybe that this worked for, but all the chlorine in the cities that border the Mississippi flowed down to the New Orleans, wonderful, tragic New Orleans, and it turns to chloroform. Chlorine, chloroform. Chloroform is cancerogenic, so drink up while you can. So there are some cities that don't have chlorine. Or the other great introduction is fluorides. They certainly stop cavities, but what else do they do that you would like to stop? Okay, so this is called. See, instead of editing, I'm just reading it as we go. It's much lazier. I mean, easier. Brooklyn Revisited. I went back to where I lived. A fool in memory thinks the trees he sees are not the trees he left behind. Your wounds, my friend, are not just in the mind. A stone it was that then had said hello. A brick it is that now shall speed you where you go. Take with you then the hate you thought you'd left behind, a comic arrow in your tragic chest, and mind, do not mistake that ball of ice for snow. Late dispatches say, Noah's dove, a canidic crow. That means a crow with cavities. Well, that's a little pessimistic, but you know, pessimism comes and goes. Hopefully it'll go in this period. And here, I think this is going to take up the rest of the, maybe I'll skip that for another time. That's too long, I think. Oh. So is this, how much time do we have?
Well, we have about 10 more minutes.
Oh, All right, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'll read this in order, and it has several parts. So, we have 10 more minutes?
Yeah.
I'll read it very fast. I'll go to... It's called 4 New York Poems. Washington Square, before the Fifth Avenue Library, Teville Square, and Chinatown. Washington Square. 4S. Poor in prose, the cabbage butterfly turns on the law-like leaf. The agile lovers miss the disengaged eye. Tramps of feeling are about to cry that always in the almost, they always found, alas, themselves, squatted in the summer mirror, silvering and image bound, caught in passion like the voice in sound, too. The Bohemians have gone into the sandpit to drink sand. Oh, how each day strikes its end from tower to snublet tower, nor no artist light to make amends. Across the polar park, I hear the tropic scream of friends. He dares the pipes that underground do flow, drinks deep the cornet-spired air that wafts the crenellated lilacs of his undespair, yet knows upon this mighty oak the early merchants hanged their thieves and left all love to dry September sap upon the sham of April leaves. Washington Square was also the site of the first, what do they call those beggar cemeteries, where Potter's Fields, yeah, with hundreds of the uncounted bodies supposedly under the ground there. Okay, this is the second section. Before the Fifth Avenue Library, There are so few. There are so few such spaces in this our gathered city. That's the park, right? Undelicate ferns of fibrous hearts have threshed the soft, articulate faces from off the city's promised bodies, afloat with loveliness and atilt with tensile graces. Rather now, see the city jammed with houses, like a shelf of books in a stacked library. The titles have been crushed in meaning, and no free people like twisting leaves in sun, step like diamonds down the flight of years, nor throw their oscillate shadows across their ebon longing and their brilliant tears. Crowded town. Crowded with sadness? No, wrong button. Herald Square. 3 parts. These shoppers in the mystic world. The great green bus of boredom crushing across their path. Oh, shiny asphalt tracks that summer leaves have not forgotten, but in the wind rehearse their joy and flaunt their autumn, red and raw and rotten. A shining penny, the shopgirl's nipple. Can it blind the rush of storming leaves, my lover's wrists, the wheat field in her brows, the dark scent of lilacs in her green heart's laced-back woods, her black and definite woods, the kept trees and vast intent of her subtle wilderness. And myself stumbling in the wood, clear and lonely, like a late walker drunk in a vast midnight square, who of a sudden sees the stars above, that are no longer spangles in his lover's dress, but beacons of the world's unlimitedness. And rising once again to go, falls again to kiss the blinding and the crystal snow. And the last part of this
Okay, we have about 5 minutes. 5 more minutes.
5 more minutes, good.
Right.
All right, the last part of this is called Chinatown. 1. The jade of slip mask flowers has caught in soft, unlacquered light these faces, passed on beyond the vase's perfect form. The wet and shimmered brick is all aglaze against these still danced faces. A forest of silverware, pools of spoons, sprouts of unfrocked beans like maidenhair, their bellies like cupped oranges. The gut of voices quivers in the air, upon a sea of stormed and darkening soup. The waiters, like rushes, are bending to the chair. 2. The Chinese are rebelling in their self-wall. The gentle dragons, their hearts are splashing soundless firecrackers in the shape of pale green lotuses. In the light of the new year, all days are forgotten. The full Gregorian meadows, the Afghan hills, definitely lost in the subtle line of the moon's dark printing. 3. Templed with tautness, the gate, finally resolved, delicate and thrusting. Thus is the dark night lost in its actions, the dark diamond integer, amazed in its fractions. Who could understand what's going on in China? They're capitalist communists. For the last part of this, 4. By dawn, the tongue-racked night is anguished, and the gimcrack stores are crumbled like the lychee nut, and the hollow space, still perfect, beyond the world's endurance. or the irrelevant tread of Tartar tanks. Idiot out of Kiev. Ask us no more Chinese puzzles. We do not care for answers. The hollow space within the nut, perfect in its embrocation. Well, you got to ask a lot of questions about China. How can such a revolution, despite its horrors, its own horrors, ended up as a great big horror, a capitalist monster that still calls itself communist. State capitalism, state capitalism with a mine tragedy every day, and starving peasants still living in caves, and selling body parts, you know. And you don't know what to believe about China, but I don't think it's a perfect place. And why, they export almost as much arms to other countries as the United States. And we're in for an exciting, what was it, Chinese proverb? Kind of death which may live in exciting times.
Interesting.
Interesting. Yeah, it's all very interesting. So meanwhile, we'll drink to that. No, we'll drink to clean water.
Okay, when did you stop writing poetry, and why?
Now, I write songs, which are poetry.
Right.
Songs have to be more understandable, easily grasped, and not full of, some of this is full of wordplay that is almost meaningless, unfortunately. But there are good lines in it. I like the book in general. So we'll continue this next, some other time. Don't stop anything you're going to do to wait for the next show, though. And we'll see you in a little while. And remember the 191 winds per hour in the Pacific? So live it up, baby. Live it up.
Okay, thank you, Tuli, for the insight into your poems.
So here we are back again sooner than expected with me, Tuli, reading from a book that